Hello, everybody. I know I'm not making sense to most of you right now, but I'll try to do better. My name is Phil Valentine. I've been in recovery since December 28th, 1987. So what's today? 10 days? If it all goes well, I could hit 37 years, which is hard to believe. I am a recovery coach professional and a facilitator of Recovery Coach Academy. He had recently retired executive director of the Connecticut Community for Addiction Recovery. I was there for 25 years, 25 plus years. And now I'm sitting in my little cove side place in Rhode Island, also fresh off a vacation in Bermuda for 8 days. Retired life is really tough. It's really tough, but I'm managing it. Who was I talking to? Kevin Schuler yesterday, and he said, "What's it like?" And because I went back to the Seacars holiday party yesterday, and I was like, there was relief, gratitude, sadness, just to name a few. But then as I was reflecting on his question more, I kind of get a sense of what a retired athlete must feel like. Like you're no longer in the game. So maybe I just go to the booth like Tom Brady and become a commentator. Not that I'm comparing myself to Tom Brady. That's a little ridiculous, but he recently made the transition to the booth, and many people have. So maybe I'm just a commentator. Um, but yeah, I also signed my first contract, Michael, with you guys to do the Recovery Coach Academy in January. So that's kind of exciting. But mostly, I sit at this little desk. I have a table, and I thoroughly enjoy creating art. Right, Christine? Isn't that what we do? We create a lot of art and just, put that out into the world and see what happens. So that's a little bit about me, my current situation. I'd like for you guys, the topic of today's coaching for coaches is strength. But we'll start this way. Tell me who you are, your name, where are you sitting, and something you're good at. What are you good at? Now, don't all jump in and raise your hands. Do we have to do a little Zoom lesson here? This is where you scroll down, and if you go down to either reactions or more, there'll be a thing where it says raise your hand, and you can raise your hand and tell me your name, where you're sitting, and what you're good at. Welcome, John. Good to see you.
Good to see you, Phil. Good to see everybody. I just want to say, first of all, that Phil, you would be a much better commentator than Tom Brady. That's
Hey, hey,
all.
hey.
That's all I'll say.
You don't like him as a commentator, really?
Yeah, you would be much better.
Okay.
But anyway, one of the things I'm sitting in Fairfield, Connecticut, and one of the things I'm getting better at, stronger at, is picking out the important stuff.
Ooh.
So I used to overreact to the stuff that wasn't that important. And now I'm getting a lot better at figuring out what really matters, what deserves attention, and the appropriate response, depending on just how important it is.
Wow. Do you have a recent example?
Well, I'm starting to think about I'm recently retired as well.
Hmm.
And so my kids and I was in financial services for 40 years.
Wow.
And my kids are making financial decisions about housing and stuff like that. And I just recently realized that all the growth I experienced in making these decisions came from the agency I had in making mistakes. And so I decided to pull back on the advice giving.
Yeah.
Like, the benefit of maybe saving a couple of dollars here or there, or doing things in what I consider the conventional and the right way to do things, uh, was not as great as the benefit of allowing them to have some information, but then to pull, the
Yeah.
appropriate button themselves.
Yeah. Let them play the game.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Good
So
example.
that's an example that I have that's most recent and most relevant.
Yeah. Thank you, John.
Sure.
Adria,
Thank
welcome.
you.
Hi, Drea. Welcome.
Good, excuse me. Good morning. I think I have a voice today. That would be great if I did. Um, my name is Drea. Um, I have been in long-term recovery from mental health um, since 2008. Please don't make me do the math. It's a little too early in the morning for that right now.
Hmm.
Currently, I am sitting in Bakersfield, California,
Wow.
and what am I good at? Let's see. I was actually going through the motions to think about what I was good at because I always say I am a jack of many trades and a master of a couple.
Hmm.
So I'll say I'm pretty good at making people smile and laugh.
Mm. Thank you, Drea. Welcome. Hello, Priscilla.
Good morning, everyone. Hi, my name is Priscilla, and I am a person in long-term recovery. And if all goes well on Saturday, this Saturday, which is Winter Soul Test Day, I will have 23 years of
Ah,
life without substance. So I like to tell people the Winter Solstice Day, it's the darkest day of the year, but for me, it's one of the brightest.
oh,
So there's
congratulations.
my little spiel there. I'm a recovery coach professional, and I get the idea. I'm not retired, but I changed lifestyles a year and a half or so ago, and I'm not just because I have to quit saying just. I'm an independent contractor, recovery coach, professional facilitator. There you go. There's my spiel. So I am not currently driving all over the community anymore. I'm adapting to life. And let's see, what am I good at? Well,
Well, where are you?
oh, I'm sorry, my apologies. I'm in
That's okay.
Spring Lake, Michigan, which is it's all the way you get to hold your little hand up, and I'm over here on the western side of the state. So yeah,
Mhm.
so 200 miles directly west from Detroit. So and that's my what's my that's I'm a native Detroiter, and I live 200
Mhm.
miles west. Now, the last question, what am I good at? And as of recently, I'm good at flexibility, and that's my most recent episode. So here in West Michigan, we get lots of snow unexpectedly, and I was facilitating a recovery coach academy and flexibility on day 3. We did it virtually and corresponded back and forth with Mr. Michael, and I appreciate the trust that I am good at providing the curricula. Thank you.
Mhm. Oh, thank you, Priscilla. Kathleen, did I get that right? Kathleen?
My health if I unmute, huh?
Yeah.
Hi, everyone. I'm Kathleen Moore. I actually just started with the Center for Prevention in Newton, New Jersey. We're a recovery-based center. We also do counseling and other prevention. It's a really great place to be, and this is my 3rd week. So, like I said, I'm in Newton, New Jersey. Kind of warm day, so we'll take it.
Hmm.
And I'm pretty good at making new connections. I love making friends. I'm just a big people person. So wherever there's people, I'm happy.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, welcome, Marjorie.
Hi, everybody. I also am at the Center for Prevention and Counseling. I'm in Sussex County. I'm a person in long-term recovery. And immediately when you said what you're good at, I immediately thought I'm really good at pickleball. But
All
so
right.
anybody want to play? Come on up to Sussex County.
All
Um,
right.
so I just wanted to share that. But I'm also good because we have the recovery center. So I feel I believe that I am really good at strategic planning and creative programming.
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
Mhm.
Is that Miss Tina? Dr. Tina Parkman. Hello, Tina. I know. You'll figure out how to unmute sooner or later.
Thank you so much. That is me, and I'm so excited about being on this class and seeing you, Phil. It's just a joy every time I see you. I'm busy. I'm busy because of what you brought to Michigan, and that was spirituality and recovery. And
Yeah.
I'm from Michigan, Ghost Point, Michigan, and I just wanted to say that what I'm good at is what Phil brought to Michigan.
Mhm.
I went to school. I mastered that, but what I mastered the most is spirituality and recovery. This 2019, y'all, but I got another one, and I got the opportunity not to retire, but to refire this year with Detroit Wayne Integrated Health and integrate spirituality and recovery. And that and I was able to present that on yesterday to the it serves the mental health and substance use needs of the whole Detroit County. And that's what I'm good at. And I found out I have more years behind me than in front of me. And I know the worst death is not a natural death, but a spiritual death. So I'm so excited about spirituality, and I just refired because of you, Phil, bringing that again. I mean, you remember? Do you remember when
Of course I remember.
I was in your class? So I'm a
Yeah.
servant, and I'm still serving, and I'm just excited about my next season of spirituality with Seeker.
You've always been a leader, Tina, and you're leading. You're a servant leader. So congratulations. Continue.
And thank you, and keep looking good. I always get you on that dress, Mr. Phil. You know how to dress right.
I don't know about that today. I'm just in a hoodie and a t-shirt. So, but there you go.
I see the color up under there.
Yeah, of course. But I will take well, the one thing you said. I hadn't heard that before. So it's written down in a couple places. Refire, not retire. Love that, Tina. Thank you for sharing that. I appreciate it. Who else? Who are you? Where are you sitting? And what are you good at? Ed, always a pleasure to see you, my friend.
Morning, everyone. Thank you, Phil. I appreciate that. I'm Ed Havlovic. I'm sitting in my apartment here in Weehawken, New Jersey. What am I good at? Actually, I'm very good at a chicken and rice casserole. It's
All
it
right.
is good.
I believe you.
But I think more importantly, to address the question that you're asking for is, I've often been told that I am good at helping people to feel better about themselves.
Good.
And I think I acquired that skill from my parents.
Yeah. Well said. Thank you, Ed. Hi, Christine.
Hi, everyone. I'm Christine Ness. I am sitting in a small town in the Poconos called Shahola, Pennsylvania, at my mom's, and excited to be here and just sharpen my skills and my tools. And one of the things that I think I'm really good at is really sharing my enthusiasm for recovery and the tools that light me up and work for me, and trying to, sharing those with other people. Especially if they're, I don't know, if there's still at a place where they're just, is this all there is? Just not using, and I just love sharing the enthusiasm of all the joy that I've experienced and the possibilities of tapping into that. And one of the ways is doing art, which
Mhm.
and Phil. And I just held a workshop the other day in my town, and just to see that people tap into like what's possible for them that they didn't know
Exactly.
before by holding
Wow.
that space.
Thank you, Christine. Welcome.
Um,
Hello, Shane. How are you? Shane, Michael, can you unmute him or does he need help? I don't know.
I'm gonna push this button and it's gonna be a sign in front of your screen. Do you see it?
Oh, we can't hear
Can't
you,
hear you.
Shane. You're not mute. You're muted, Shane, so we can't
Yeah,
hear
you're
you.
still muted.
This is-
You can use the chat function as well, Shane, if
oh,
until you figure that it's on the right on the left bottom side. You'll see the mic. Just hit the mic and it should unmute you.
no. All right, we'll come back to you, Shane. If I see you come out unmuted, we'll come back to you. How's the New London Recovery Community Center? Who's hanging out down in there?
Hi, everyone. I'm Chris. I'm a person in recovery. We are speaking to you from New London Recovery Community Center in the shores of Connecticut. I'm here with a couple of my volunteers, Glenn and Alberto, or goes by Cowboy.
Alberto goes
I,
cowboy.
I'll let them share for yourselves. But one thing I think I'm good at is maintaining a calmness or a peace in high stress or high tense situations, and kind of, I guess, resonating that onto the individual that I'm speaking with or talking to. I think, and that comes from a belief that if we work together, if we do things, that things will work out. And trying to really instill that into the other person.
All right. Bye.
Okay, thank you.
And do you guys want to share?
I'm Cowboy. Something I'm very good at is talking and reaching out to people in recovery. Especially, I went through the headache and the journey of trying to get here, and just being able to relate and touching other people and giving them hope.
Thanks, Cowboy.
My main thing is I can be positive no matter what. It's life can be kicking you down, just find something positive about it.
Thank you. Shane, you figured it out. Where are you
I
sitting?
can't.
How are you?
I don't know if anybody can hear me. Sorry, I apologize. I'm having massive problems with my computer, so I'm obviously not very good at trying to get this damn thing to work. I apologize. Can you hear me?
Loud and clear. You're good.
Okay, sorry. Well, I can't see anybody. So, well, my name is Shane. I'm in Kent in the UK, and I've just completed the courses, the RCA courses. Looking forward to the RCP, hopefully soon. I absolutely dreaded when Phil said, "Let's tell us what you're good at," because I can tell you the many things I'm really bad at, but. I like cooking. I'm good at that. I like playing tennis. I was okay at that. But since we started doing this course, my wife has accused me of so many times of being extremely overreactive. So I'm getting better at not being overreactive. So I'm good at not being reactive. So sorry, I can't see a thing. I'm sorry. I just no idea what's going on with my computer. But anyway, I can hear. I'm looking forward to this, and always enjoy these conversations and these sessions. So thank you, Phil.
Oh, thank you. Joe Romano, I see you. We'll get your hand up. Why that's not working. Hi, there you are.
Hello. Hello, everyone. I'm Joe, and I'm sitting in my home in Montpelier, Vermont.
Ooh.
And for the past 30 years, I've worked in prevention and recovery. I'm also on a recovery board at our local recovery center. And what I do well is I love what I do. I've been really, really blessed to love what I do. And what I do is lots of things in this area, but training and technical assistance and curriculum design. And one thing I do well, I believe, is I'm curious. And I'm curious and I don't know. And by doing that, I really can get to the essence of and the core of who someone is. I've also trained in the Recovery Coach Academy. I trained the Recovery Coach Academy in Vermont a number of times, and it was CCAR's training, and that was a while ago. And now I'm back, with CCAR doing all the trainings again, and looking forward to getting a professional certification. Thank you.
Thank you, Joe. Good to see you.
Yeah.
The next guy has like probably one of the coolest names I've ever seen. A Wolf Valentine. Yes. What a name. Sandy, maybe we should have named one of our kids Wolf. That would have been cool.
How you doing? My name is Wolf, and I'm at Great Barrington, Mass. At the South County Recovery Center under the Rural Recovery umbrella. And what am I good at? I guess I'm pretty good. I think I have a knack for reaching out to people, to the community, and just letting people know, the information that's out there, the latest information on recovery. And I just, I have a pretty good knack of getting, people to engage. So that's a big thing, just having people engage and meeting them where they're at, things like that.
Thank you, Wolf. Good
You're
to see you. Stephanie.
Good morning, everybody. I am also with Wolf. We are at the South County Recovery Center. We are in a very rural area in the Berkshires in Massachusetts. And I am a recovery coach supervisor here. And what I am good at, I had a lot of time to think about this. And again, like Shane said, I thought about all the things I was not good at. But what kept coming back to my mind is I think I'm pretty good at building that trust and being that safe space for people. I've heard a lot of times, like, that's the first time I've told anybody that. And to me, that's like super, super important to get that stuff off our chest that we bury deep down inside. So allowing people and in a quick manner, building that trust so they feel safe, almost immediately. So I feel I'm pretty good at that.
Yeah, thank you. Appreciate that. Okay, Lona. Did I get that, Lona? Lona?
You did get that. Hi, I am Lone Barney. I am also with Wolf and Stephanie at the South County Recovery Center in Great Barrington, Mass. I feel like I'm very good at being present and being available and showing up as my authentic self, which, like Stephanie said, you do hear that from the people that you meet with, hearing things for the first, having them tell you things for the first time. I've heard that as well. So, just being present and available and non-judgmental and open, So thanks a lot.
Thank you. Good to hear from you. Miss Jennifer, what a pleasant surprise. I'm glad to see you. Very glad to see you.
Good morning, everyone. Good to see you here, Phil, too, and good to hear everybody. And I'm in Mass, and I need to come visit the Great Barrington. I'm actually on the other side. I'm on the East Coast. I'm sitting in my office in Salisbury, Mass. And I'm grateful to be sitting here on this call today. I get the messages of when these are going to be shown, and my schedule hasn't allowed for it to happen. So I'm really happy that I'm here today. And what am I good at? So I'm really good at taking acronyms and creating words out of them. So one of them, I'm going to throw it into chat. So I'm a hope, like I like hope, like we can provide hope to others, right? So for me, the acronym is help other people evolve. And most recently, as I'm going into my new experience of a counseling business, is heal our personal experiences, right? So if I heal my stuff, I can help and hold space for others to heal theirs, right? And the name of my business is Living Our Values Every Day, which is the acronym is LOVE, Healing Solutions. And when I sent it out to a bunch of friends to ask, they're going to be like, you're going to be known as Dr. Love. And I'm like, I'm okay with that, because all day long, when I'm on my spiritual plane, I'm sending loving, healing energy to people. So it all comes together. And yeah, I'm grateful to be here with among all of us here and to learn with everyone today. So thank you.
Yeah, welcome. Thank you. Hallie. I don't know. We can't hear you. Oh, there you go. Get a little closer to the mic.
Can you hear me better now?
Okay, now, yep.
Okay. I am in a little town called Maine, Wisconsin. It's just about 30 minutes west of Green Bay, if everyone knows where Green Bay is. That is where I'm at. What I'm good at, I always generally consider myself good at things. But I'm working on that, right? And recognizing that I'm good at things. And a couple things that people have brought to my attention that they think I'm good at, that I'm recognizing that I actually am good at, is one thing people keep saying is that I'm good at making them feel seen and making them feel heard and making them feel related to. When people talk to me, they tell me that I'm very real and that they can relate to me and I can relate to them. And so I'm pretty good at that, making people feel seen. Another thing that I'm really good at is I'm really good at facilitating. I'm actually really good at it, and I'm falling in love with doing it. I'm coming up on just about a year of facilitating, and I'm really good at doing it, and I love it. And I love doing my trainings and teaching people new things and meeting new people all of the time and learning from them as well. I learn something from somebody every time I facilitate, and I like to make that a goal, right? Because I'm not the only one who knows things. So I really love doing it, and I'm really good at it. So that's me.
I'm glad to hear you owning that. Thank you, Hallie. Sarah.
Hello, my name is Sarah McKeelis. I'm in Hackettstown, New Jersey, Warren County. So it's cool to see some familiar faces here. And blast from the past, baby. Haven't seen you in 20 years. I'm originally from Massachusetts, so I'm having an experience seeing my friend here on the screen. Pretty wild. Yeah, dude. So happy to see you here. Anyways, I'm a person in long-term recovery, and the first thing I thought of was I'm good at gardening, and then I was like, probably should relate this to our work. And so I think I'm good at gardening in our work too. Like I really love working with people new in the field, and but I love making people feel comfortable in new spaces. That's I really like something that gives me just a lot of joy to really help people to kind of relax and feel like they can be in a new space and be doing a new thing. And that's it for me.
Thank you. Hi, Sean.
Hi, Phil and everybody. Good afternoon. I'm actually sitting in my sister's conservatory in Bolton, Greater Manchester, England. And I generally volunteer in West Haven, Connecticut, for the Veterans Affairs Residential PTSD program. I also volunteer as a recovery coach at CCAR New Haven. And what I was told I was good at is the relaxation practice called integrated restoration, yoga nidra meditation, and it's used as an adjunct therapy for like veterans, PTSD, people in recovery. A lot of people having challenges sleeping, and talk through the practice, and a lot of veterans can get asleep. Even veterans who've been to the Vietnam conflict. And even after 50 years, I had trouble sleeping, and they would at least get some rest. So, ironically, I can talk people to sleep sometimes, you know? Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else? Michael, I didn't hear from you. What are you good at, Michael? Look at that look.
My name is Michael Serrano, and I'm sitting in my office in Hartford, Connecticut. I think I'm good at reading the room.
Well said.
Because I like to read the room. I'm ever since I was a kid, I went one time to New York with my dad, and we're sitting in a waiting room, and I looked to the side and I looked at this man. He had a suit on, and I go, "Hi, officer." And the officer himself goes, "How'd you know I'm a cop?" And I was like, "You got a gun bulging out your pants at the bottom of your pants." And I just been aware of things. Like when I go in the room, I like to like scope the room out, scope people out to see how people feel. So I think it's important.
Yeah. Thank you, Michael. Hello, John. WRCC. What's happening over there?
Hey, Philip, we're here in the beautiful downtown romantic Willimantic, doing what we do. I got a couple of volunteers with me who want to introduce themselves. For me personally, I would say that I am a sponge for people's guilt and shame. I have the ability to take people's guilt and shame off of them and make them feel a little bit better for just a few minutes. It's a magic trick I have, but the thing is, I can't use it on myself, which kind of annoys me. Anyway, who else is here? Alice, you want to say hi?
I'm a sponge for other people's guilt and shame. Oh my gosh, John.
Hi, Phil. This is Alice. I met you many, many years ago. I was here as a volunteer.
Oh, yeah.
I also took recovery coaching back when Art was here training.
Yeah.
And saw the volunteer sign last year again when I walked by here in Willimantic, and it's like, oh, let me go in. So I went in and was asking about recovery coaching, and that's what I'm doing now. I'm back in classes, and I liked also what was not retiring but refiring. So that's what I'm here at, and listening to everybody share what they're good at. It's like, oh, I got a little of that. I got a little of that.
Yeah.
I'm just becoming more authentic and finding out what I might be best at, but I like all the littles that put me as I am. So that's me. Nice to see you.
So cool, Alice. Thank you.
Is anybody else back here? Good,
Hi,
man.
I'm Matt. I'm a volunteer here in Willimantic. I'm pursuing my RCP designation, and I'm good at being on time. I'm currently coaching someone in volunteer coaching, and I'm on time all the time. I was taught that by my dad.
All right. Thank you.
Anybody else? Ken?
Hi, I'm Ken Jones. I'm new. I'm in recovery, and I'm learning about recovery codes.
All right.
Good at working with people.
And Danielle?
Shalom, I'm Danielle. I'm also a volunteer pursuing my RCP. Hello to everybody. And I excel at inspiration and motivational speaking.
Wow. Thank you.
That's it for us, Philip.
Thanks, John. Eric.
Hey, how are you? I'm not sitting today. I'll be standing for most of this. I'm in Sussex County, New Jersey. I have 4.5 years of personal recovery experience, and I just started working for the center, as a couple of people in the meeting have already stated, up in Sussex County in New Jersey, working as a recovery coach, doing per diem. So I have a full-time job right now, but I've been thinking about doing something like this for so long, and finally just said, I'm not going to think anymore, and I'm just going to do something about it, and sort of dove right in. So I guess what I'm good at, well, I'm pretty good at tiling. I'm good at bathrooms. I'm working today. And haven't been doing that for very long either, but apparently I do very good work. So I think the main thing that I'm good at is being a quick learner and diving in, and that's something that I've really been doing with the recovery coaching and trying to do a lot of independent research, and it occupies maybe too much of my thoughts sometimes, but diving in and just learning as quickly as I can and being passionate about it. So, and I hope I'm not imposing. I'm probably going to turn my camera off and do some stuff around here and just sit in and listen if that's okay.
It is, of course it is, and jump in
Okay.
if you feel called to.
All
Appreciate
right.
it. Thank you.
Thanks.
So, we're talking here, we're doing this coaching for coaches, right? So, um, when you say you're good at something, and a lot of us find it hard to say what we're good at, right? We don't know why that is. Um, would you consider that a strength, right? Something that you might be good at might be considered a strength. That's one definition, but I want you to think about when we say we're going to build on people's strengths in the Recovery Coach Academy, we say that a lot. We're going to build on people's strength. What is a strength? How do you define that? How do you think about it? What is a strength? All responses are welcome. John.
So in the context of the coaching, so we in recovery are really good at finding out what we're not doing well. So the identification of the strength, I think, is crucial for the support that the coach can give to the recovery.
So would you say a strength is something you do well? Because we're good at identifying things we don't do well. So is a strength something we do well? Is that how you would define it?
Well, well is the relative term, right? Like we're always evaluating. And so I think I'd get away from the evaluating of how well we're doing it, but it's something that we do that's worthwhile, that's perhaps indicating how capable we are, and that should transfer into how we feel about our recovery and other things that we can do well in order to be better at who we are.
Gotcha. Thank you. Just making notes too. Hello, Khalees.
I was just thinking, I just listened to a podcast the other day. So, Michael, I'm gonna pick on you because you said like reading the room. And in this podcast I was listening to, he was talking about how he used to be a secret agent, whatever, but now he helps businesses because he can scoop it out, he can have conversations, he can read the room. So Michael was talking about reading the room. He has great conversational skills. So I might be like, Michael, if you've ever thought about working for businesses to scoop out the competition, did you know that, this is a great opportunity? There's some real career advancements here. You could be traveling the world. And he, you know what I mean? But like I heard him say that. So I'm thinking about all the possibilities that he could use that skill for that we just sometimes gets unnoticed. He might not even real, you know what I mean? Of course, he said it here, but yeah, there you go.
Yeah, well, there were excellent drug dealers back in the day and terrible drug dealers. Michael was an excellent drug dealer. Yeah, quite the following, quite the business. Anyway, Marjorie.
I don't necessarily think this goes straight across the board, but I do think strengths are usually a lot of times from just a natural ability. I think that sometimes we're just born with these innate strengths. And it's not to say that we can't develop weaknesses, because we certainly can. But I also think that there's like a lot of strengths come from just things that are just we're born with or blessed with.
Right. What would be one example of a natural ability?
Well, like a natural athletic ability.
Okay. Well said. Good. Thank you. Drea.
I was listening to everybody's response, and when you asked how would I define strength, the first thing I thought about was confidence. Your confidence in the ability to do things. We
as someone said before, it's easier to identify what we don't do well as opposed to what we do well. And I think I'm going to point it to me. Me as a person, I identify most with the negative because the negative helps me build on what I can do, how I can be better, how I can build it up better to become a better person or to become stronger in whatever it is that I'm trying to accomplish. And then I build that confidence to show, yes, I can do this. Look, this, and make it look as though it is achievable. So, not necessarily arrogance, but confidence. There is a difference. I'm not saying, yeah, if I do it, you can do it too. And come on, we can do this together. No, I am confident in my ability to accomplish this particular goal. And therefore, in showing that, I'm showing my strength and the ability to accomplish it. Does that make sense?
Yeah, thank you. Tina. Unmute. There you go. Oh, you're muted again.
My computer. Okay, there it is. I'm sorry about that. My father, when he was dying, he told me he was dying, and he said, "Tina, get in a position of strength." And for me, he gave me my marching orders. Now, he didn't pamper me or anything, but when he spoke those words to me, I knew I had to deal with my strongest weaknesses and start equipping myself for the journey. So for me, that meant to get better and get positioned to win.
Okay, thank you. That's fascinating. Position of strength, because I've heard that term a lot too. What is a position of strength? And position yourself to win. Got you. Thank you. Sean.
Yeah, as opposed to in recovery, perhaps some of the traditional, like 12-step traditions, look at shortcomings and deficits. So perhaps in recovery coaching, looking at not just the physical strengths, mental strengths, and abilities that have been said, but actually resources, and assets. So what someone can connect into could be the strengths that are available to help them in the recovery.
Exactly. Thank you, Sean. Hello, Katrina.
Hi, Phil. It's so good to see you.
Likewise.
So I was thinking of that like inner strength. And for whatever reason, I didn't raise my hand. It was probably because of like sharing those inner strengths. Sometimes it always, usually for myself, it comes with a surrender. And so I think that with that, through my years in recovery, I've leaned more into my inner strengths rather than the strengths that I have externally. And so one of those strengths I would say would be like loving others well. But it's hard. It is hard to like tap into sometimes and talk openly about, because again, I mean, that could open doors for like, where does that inner strength comes from? And it's usually like a trial, a surrender, so on and so forth. But I think that more so with coaching, I tend to tap into that a lot with individuals, is those inner strengths to maintain and sustain. Because I can be a great facilitator today and then have an off day and like bomb the whole show the next day. Right. But if I lead with love and compassion and empathy and hope and tolerance and patience, I don't seem to bomb the whole show.
Right. You cannot fail if you're genuine. I agree. Kathleen.
Thank you. I just kind of want to tack on to what everyone else has said. There have been so many good things said. I think comfortability is a part of strength, and I think that even if you walk into a situation that you're uncomfortable in, if you're comfortable in yourself, then you can take it on. So yeah, I don't know. That's something I feel like when I think of a strong person, I think of them being comfortable in themselves, and that comes with confidence too.
Thank you. Baja.
Hello. So, for me, strength is something that you can do independently, and you are a person of reference. You are autonomous to do the thing, and you are a person or example of doing this thing, or to be an example for others when you are doing this thing.
Okay.
So when I want to give an example about someone who is doing cooking very well, so it's a strength in him that he can do this independently, and he's an example for others.
Okay, gotcha. Ed.
Oh, this is a great discussion. And I'm going to go out on a little limb here. It might be embarrassing, but I find that strengths are kind of like a skill or an ability that one uses to achieve some type of desired outcome.
Okay.
In that respect, then it's almost like a tool. Case in point, a knife can be used to achieve greatness. It also can be used in a very negative, hurtful way. And I think when we talk about strengths are used both in a negative and positive way. It's how we use the tool effectively for our desired outcome that determines whether it's positive or negative.
Yeah, that's cool. Thank you. I like that. Sarah.
Yeah, I think I was saying something along the same lines that like I feel like, to be, for example, like persistent, right? That can be a strength and it also can be something that, to be stubborn or resistant and kind of get in our way. So I really love the idea of like coming in with something and saying like, okay, like how can I look at this from a strength perspective or develop it that way?
Thank you. There's some, make sure you refer to the chat now and then. There's some great comments going up there as well. Here's a typical question I've been bringing into a lot of these coaches for coaching for coaches. When you thought about strength in yourself or defining strength, what quadrant did you fall into and why? And when I say the quadrants, it's what I talk about White Bison raising up the four quadrants of healing, which are physical, mental, spiritual, and emotional. So in all those examples, where do you tend to land when you think of a strength? Which quadrant and why? And this is where as a facilitator, I really appreciate when somebody raises their hand and says, okay, I'll give this a shot. Wolf, thank you.
Well, I think with strength with me would come in as in a spiritual way because I can give you a perfect example. There's not too many Coast Guard divers, right, that are muscle bound that could pick up 1,000 pounds because as soon as they get into the water, their muscles ask for more oxygen than the guy that's leaner than they are, right? So now here's how I put that in my life is, I don't go at things with a physical sense or like too emotional because emotions and physical strength, if we just stick to those, then we gas out. We end up gassing out. So now, how do I overcome this obstacle or overcome what I'm going through? And it has to be something beyond the physical realm, and it has to come in from the spirit. If you don't, because I've seen strangest people do the most extraordinary things, and it wasn't physical. It wasn't because they were emotionally, there or whatever. they had to grab onto something that was not visible to the naked eye and to push them through. That's where I'm at with that. Maybe it doesn't make sense, but it
Oh
makes
man,
it makes sense to me.
it makes a lot of sense, and I love that you use like a Coast Guard diver. I mean, where'd you come up with that? But anyway, here's a question for you. Let me ask you a question. When you is spiritual strength like a broad concept, or could you name like a specific spiritual strength?
Well, it depends on the individual because you know what there's individuals that call on things that brings them strength, and it's to feed that spiritual body to push them forward, and then there's those that use that spiritual realm as a broad concept, like they just use the universe's energy to freaking do what they got to do for themselves, because at the end of the day we have to reach for something in order to make it seem plausible, make it seem like this is what I need to do right now. And some of us reach to, let's say, a concept of a higher power, and some others reach to the universe, to what's out there, the energy, their past, their present, their future. Everything comes in and play, and especially when it's a do and die situation, do I go out again? Do I use again? Do I drink again? Do I realize this, and when there's no one around, you can't call anyone, and you may even think that maybe your higher power is not listening to you. You have to reach deep down inside somewhere in that spiritual realm to find the strength to say, hey, I need to look at this before I create something worse than what it is.
Right. And so that's cool. That's a good example. I was also thinking that in that example too, there's a mental component to know what you're supposed to do, So well said. Thank you, Wolf. Appreciate that. Tina.
I wanted to just piggyback on that. Some things I can't do emotionally, psychologically, and I have to depend on a higher power, which is God. And the joy of the Lord is my strength, because I can't do this bit. If I got to go and do this journey called life, I have to find some joy in Him, which is my higher power, to keep me focused and fix me for the journey, because I don't have enough in me. So that's why I really like spirituality, because if it was left up to me, I would fail in a lot of places. So I have to trust Him to fix me for the journey in recovery, emotionally, psychologically, and spiritually. And that's where my strength comes from.
Okay. So when you say the joy of the Lord is my strength, popular verse, right?
Yes.
So, okay. Well, I'll just leave
So,
it there for now.
like,
So,
greater is He that's in me than he
no,
that.
I was, that's not quite so I'm trying to keep this towards like,
Okay.
what is the strength there? Is it your spiritual belief that that is true and you embrace that and then you feel joy or experience joy or practice joy? That is what I'm trying to get at. And you don't have to answer that because
Oh, I embrace His strength, because maybe I don't have it today. I
well,
get up sometimes and I don't have it. And I said,
so
well,
I'm a brand new recovery, and I said, Tina, what the hell do you mean? How do you embrace his strength? What the hell does that mean?
I trust Him every
All
day, one step at a time, to get me
right.
through it so I can get to it.
But I don't trust anybody or anything.
Well, we can walk this road, and I'll stay with where you're at, and we'll
Okay.
just walk together.
Thank you, Tina. Thank you for letting me push you a little bit. I like that. Baja. Spiritual, emotional, mental, physical.
I think it is psychological slash emotional. If the
Okay.
I believe that I can, so I can do it. So it's a strength.
Okay.
So whatever the circumstance are, when you put a goal or something that you can do, if the I is not helping or supporting and believing in what you are doing, no one will reach this point. So it is the most important to build on or to create or to develop a strength.
Okay, somebody else, when you think of strength, do you go to the spiritual, physical, mental, or emotional realm? What's the first thing you think of?
Emotional, so this is psychological, emotional.
Okay, got it.
Nothing cannot, everything will start with the emotion, with the psychology. Even if you want to build on the spirituality, if psychologically you are not ready, or it's not ready to psychology, to spirituality, to spiritually accept the thing, it will be difficult.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. Andrea.
It usually helps when you unmute so people can hear you.
Usually.
You said spiritual, mental, psychological, and physical, correct?
Well, psychological, I said spiritual, physical, mental, emotional are usually
Emotional.
the four.
Okay, thank you. I think for me, it depends on where I am at the moment and what it is that I need to be strong for. When I lost my brother, now let me rephrase that because I didn't lose him. I know where he is.
Uh-huh.
When my brother passed away a couple of years ago, I had to draw strength spiritually. I had to convince myself physically, emotionally, and psychologically because I was angry and I was hurt and I was sad. And so I had to convince myself, okay, it was his time to go. He is no longer in pain. It is not my fault. There was nothing I could do to keep him here. And embrace the fact that I love him enough to let him go. And that was a huge psychological for me because I couldn't let him go for the longest time. Matter of fact, the sicker he got, the more I used to berate him because I'm like, if you do this, this, and this, you can feel better. But that was how I helped myself be strong in going through the phases. What did it say about the phases of grief? There's 7 phases of grief or 5 phases of grief or whatever. I don't know them all, so please don't ask me. But that was how I helped myself become, or I built on my strength through those quadrants. And then there's other things, like I was in a car accident. A tractor trailer hit me on 695 coming from Maryland going to Philly. And I'm still dealing with it actually, a severe concussion for the last 2 years. So I thought I lost the ability to do everything, walking, um, being able to concentrate, driving, a, a lot of things. And so I'm building my strength in, hey, you know what? I can walk, my legs work, even though I still have vertigo, but I'm healing and I'm getting better and I cannot do these things. I can have an intelligent conversation with you all, whereas my brain is actually working. So I build on those strengths depending on the situation and the day. And I know I was long-winded. Sorry about that.
No, thank you, Drea. Appreciate that. Ed.
Thanks. I almost lowered my hand after listening to Drea because a lot of what she's saying, I also agree. And not to preach heresy or anything, but I don't know if I ever looked at my strengths as being separate from each of the quadrants. I think my strengths all blend and are connected to each other and are dependent upon each other.
Yeah.
So having said that, my first go-to often is the spiritual. However, if I am not attending my physical needs or my mental needs, my spiritual needs take a huge hit constantly. Case in point, when I came into recovery years ago, there was no way that I would go to my spiritual strengths because I had none. I had to address my physical needs first, And once the physical needs began to improve, then I could also then address my mental. And once I started addressing my mental needs, the emotion came in, and boom, my spiritual quadrant became a focus for me. And with time, it grew to take precedence over all the other three. But they're all connected, and each one affects the other in a tremendous way for me personally.
Yeah, cool. Um, I do think that I fully agree with you, and I think they're all interrelated. But I think sometimes when we think of the quadrants of healing, that others one surface at other times. I put in the chat that you know, like somebody said they were great at pickleball, so we would notice that right away that if we all picked up a pickleball racket and a ball and all started to play against each other, we'd figure out who had that capability or our talent so much quicker than anybody else. Like, yeah, she's really good. Holy cow, stay away from her. So um, I also think like for when I look at some of my children that some like were just gifted on the soccer field. They just were physically. They also had the mental component and the emotional component, but they were just gifted soccer players, and I certainly wasn't a gifted, so I didn't know that was going to happen. So this is the next question, and how I want to spend the bulk of our time remaining is you're working with a recovery. How do you personally, and this will help all of us, how do you identify a recovery's strength, and then how do you build on it? What does that mean? And specific examples would help illustrate your points uh, um, really well. John, thank you.
Yeah, I like the observation of so in yoga therapy, we use physical, mental, emotional, social, economic, and spiritual.
Mm-hmm.
I also like the recovery coaching model and SAMHSA's 8 dimensions of wellness.
Mm-hmm.
To look at physical, emotional, intellectual, financial, environmental, social, and so get an observation of where the recovery thinks they're at. And so we can look at the assets. That's one way I feel. I actually use that in my own methodology in my own recovery as a way to overview where I'm at. So you can do that kind of inventory when you initially, get to a certain stage with the recovery. But that's one of the methods that I use to observe where people feel they're at, gauge, bring awareness to those.
So you use it actually like a paper or physical assessment tool to help identify?
I actually just know that one, like it just came to my top of my head. So, and I'll weave that in. I'll sometimes use that
Okay.
and so we obviously can bring that out, the 8 dimensions, and at some point we can go through, where we're at, where they feel they're at, is in their well-being.
Thank you. Anybody else? How do you identify a recovery's strengths and then how do you build on it? Sarah, thank you.
I was thinking about like I think just in the course of that kind of conversation, when you can pick up on signals about them identifying like maybe what they enjoy or something that's given them like pleasure or um the past as well as the present. I feel like that's then like that opportunity to kind of pinpoint something that they are, like I said, finding joy in. And then you can kind of pull that thread to say, like, are there activities or things that are associated with that, right? As a lead into strength. So for me, that's kind of what I do, and but I love that idea of using the dimensions of wellness, certainly to identify strengths in a more structured way.
Mhm.
But yeah, I love that opportunity to kind of be like, hey, you mentioned this, or tell me more about that. And then you can kind of use that as a bridge into, opportunities or things they might be able to begin to engage in.
Great. Thank you, Sarah. Love that. Marjorie.
A lot of times what I do, well, I like listen a lot for a while, which I always had such a problem with. I always was inserting myself in conversations, pontificating great advice, of course, without even listening. And so I do really listen a lot. And then I don't know, like sometimes just like it's hard for me to just give you a hard example about just just asking open-ended questions. But a lot of times I do ask people what they like to do when they were younger, when they were kids. Was there something that they really enjoyed doing, to ask them to sort of go back to that and see if there was some way they sort of like just sort of that sort of fell off the radar and think about something like that. I mean, that's just kind of a quick example. A lot of times it's just really listening and sort of, moving on in a conversation and just asking, good questions, open-ended questions to bring them to like their own awareness, because you can't move people unless they, you know what I mean, like that when they come to those aha moments, which are so terrific. um I just feel like a guide in that, not necessarily giving them the aha moment.
Exactly. You and I are aligned with that's one of my most favorite questions, not just coaching, but to anyone that I come across when I engage in a conversation is, oh, what did you do for fun as a kid? Or what did you like to do as a kid? I mean, what was it like growing up for you? Um, and then, I just still think of like you get answers like catching snapping turtles in the swamp, and you're like, well, when was the last time you caught a snapping turtle? They go, what? I said, I would never do. Why wouldn't you do that now? And then all of a sudden they go like, I don't know. Maybe I would like that. John.
Yeah, so I appreciate that, Marjorie, about the advice giving, because I'm really good at that too. So I've decided in coaching, I've decided in coaching to use AI, not artificial intelligence.
Appreciative inquiry.
Appreciative inquiry. So, set up a conversational topic that kind of draws out some of these strengths. And it can be, going back to what jazzes you from your childhood or whatever. But in a lot of cases, and you get to be a little bit older, there's certain things you can't go back to. But the rewards that you got from them, you can revisit and you can recreate or redesign circumstances that can draw out these strengths that can be useful.
Yeah, thank you. What? Sandy Valentine reappears. Hello, Sandy.
I should have stayed. The other meeting was a total waste of my time.
Okay.
So this is my favorite story lately, and that is where our recovery community center is located in downtown Providence, and we primarily are working with people who are unhoused or in unstable housing. And our age tends to gear towards late 40s to 60s, like Phil. And one of the things that we see with people in early recovery around those ages is that folks haven't been given a chance or had the opportunity, either from being on the streets or being formerly incarcerated, to even know what their strengths are. And so I've heard just anecdotally some of the things you guys have shared, but my favorite thing is that we had a student from Brown University want to deliver painting classes. And we have at least 3 individuals who are probably late 50s, early 60-year-old men who have never in their life had a chance to sit with a small canvas, paint, and a paintbrush. And they've tapped into something that they didn't know they had as a strength, because their navigation in life completely ruled out such a simple opportunity that probably many of us with kids, gave, but these folks left that behind in childhood and never returned to exploring those things. So, I'm pretty passionate about having a variety of things. You talked about the dimensions of wellness, but just having a variety of programming because they don't know what their strengths are often, and where their passions are.
Thank you. How do you identify a strength in a recovery? How do you do that? Somebody else. Continue the conversation, please. This is where one of you raises your hand and jumps in. And look at Joe is filling up the chat. She's got a lot of good stuff in there. So Joe, unmute yourself and come on, jump in here. You don't have to type everything out. Or can you? Don't panic. Just find the unmute button, or don't you have one? Bottom left, usually.
I got it. I got it. Okay. Oh, I just love these questions. And isn't that what we as coaches do?
Mm-hmm.
We ask these questions, but okay, let's see. I'll just go where. Okay. So you asked, well, how do you do it? So you're working with a recovery, and how do you identify a recovery strength, and how do you build on that? Well, by starting out with what's going well. With every recovery that I work with or person that I work with, I always start out that way. And you're right. At first, they want to say, well, I don't know what's going well, but I can tell you what's not quite right. And I said, okay, we'll get to that. But let's start with what's going well. And then I asked, like, what are you excited about, jazzed about? What are you accomplishing? What are you in most gratitude for? So if they can't think of anything, then I said, then what are you grateful for? And then I give an example, and then they'll give their example. That tells their strengths. That pulls out their strengths. What are your passions? When are you in your sweet spot? Who are you with? Where are you? What are you saying and doing? And really, how does it feel? Because that's you. That's really the authenticity of a person, I think. So asking about creating a vision, another way of doing it is asking to create a vision and seeing the components of the recovery's vision and what they want and love.
Mm-hmm.
And also asking all of these strength questions with your recovery that we're learning today is a way to do it too. And introducing the healing quadrants, because I had not heard of the healing quadrants before.
Yeah.
But basically, as coaches, we ask powerful questions, the kind of question that there is no answer until the person responds. It's not a yes or no question. And it helps us. And the difference between our questions as coaches and a regular person's question is that we go deeper. We peel the onion back and we stay there for a while.
Yeah.
Another way of doing it, just two other ways, is making powerful observations. There's three truths. There's your truth, my truth, and the evidence factual based truth. And in coaching, I think all three really need to be addressed. So that's where you can give your perspective, and they can agree with you, disagree with you, whatever. It's really about them and not about you. And then the fourth one is like what Phil had said. Oh, you really like doing this when you were younger? Well, how about doing that? How about doing something like that this week? Making a powerful request where they have to stretch in the safety of your relationship, your co-creative relationship. And they stretch and they'll say, and you ask them to do something like that. And they'll either say, yeah, I'll do that. No, I won't do that. Or modify it in some way.
Mm-hmm. Thank you, Joe.
You're welcome.
Hi, Wolf.
Yeah, I kind of basically Joel said a lot and everyone else, but one thing I wanted to throw back is in just to rehash what Michael Serrano said in the beginning was observing, being observant, watching that individual interact with others, how they're interacting in the center or in the community. Because basically, when you start working with a recovery, you kind of have already a basis on what they are, who they are. They tend to come to a center. They tend to be volunteers, or they just come in for the first time, and you watch them having an interaction with others, and just being observant, just seeing. And here's the deal: people tell on themselves without knowing it. They tell on themselves without knowing it. Like we can't like we can't hide our nature sometimes. And if and then you could just pinpoint strengths. What are they good at? What would they engage with? And just being observant. So yes, I liked what Michael said this morning about just him be he's a good observant. He could scope the room out and see what's going on. I like that.
Great. Thank you, Wolf. Andrea?
Oh, I love what Wolf just said. Yes, people do tell on themselves. It just like rang all kinds of bells in my head. And what Joe was saying too about the asking the good questions and everything. I know there have been a few times when I've sat in front of a recovery and I've asked them, and what are your strengths and what are you grateful for? And they go, I'm not grateful for nothing. I can't do nothing. I don't, and they never have a response to those particular questions. So I basically tell them to tell me about themselves. So, what did you do today? Or what were your plans for today? Or, what did you do yesterday? And if they tell me that they went to the grocery store and they dropped all their food on the floor and the bag broke and they didn't know what to do and they missed a trolley when I was living in Baltimore. And it's not a trolley, it's a trolley in San Diego. Oh my God, I keep forgetting it. I mix up the states. It's light rail in Baltimore, it's a trolley in San Diego. But anyway, they missed their ride. How's that? Or
Okay.
they have all of these things. And so I asked, well, what did you do when you missed your ride? What did you do when your groceries fell out of your bag? Well, I picked them up one at a time and I found a new bag. Okay, so one of your strengths is to adapt to situations.
Mm-hmm.
So I would pull out what it is that they wanted to do. And a lot of times, as Wolf said, they tell on themselves. It reminds me of a text message I got just a couple of days ago from my niece that we just found. We haven't seen her in over 20 years, and we literally just found her. And she was explaining to me in this long text message some of the things about herself. She was saying how she likes to do hair, how she likes to play sports, how she can save money. And then she went on the second part of the tirade as to how she has tripolar and she's never been addicted to substance and she's very suicidal and she has all of these things. And so I went to those things that she told me that she liked to do or that makes her feel good to help her come out of that. And so your strength is to see the better things in life. Your strength is that you are very physically capable of playing basketball and football and all of these different ways to help you manage when your thoughts are going all over the place. These are some of your strengths. She's like, thank you, Auntie. You helped me see something different. So, and what Wolf said, listening to people tell on themselves about what it is that they do to take care of things will help point out their strengths, especially when they can't answer that question as far as what their strengths are. That's what I do.
Thank you so much. Katrina, how do you identify a recovery's strengths?
So I love that question because I think about all the people that I've worked with and the different tools and how to navigate individuals as a whole. And so I was thinking, though, most recently working with somebody that's pretty hard on themselves. And so, really, just like that active listening, the motivational interviewing, meeting them where they're at, and allowing them to feel that pain along with saying things such as, I can empathize with that pain. I understand. But what I also hear is that you're a warrior, you're a survivor, you persevered. And so all of those are those inner strengths that I would love to tap in more with you so that we can continue moving forward because you have all of the things already. And how do we utilize them? So, and then I love that other question of what, has brought you. I usually say, what are some of the things that have brought you joy, or when was the last time that you felt joy and what did that look like? We did have somebody say that when he was on the farm with his grandfather. And so I was able to create a goat therapy group. And my boss, after a while, was like, you have all these groups and I don't know if we can continue all of them. There's not enough people to help. But being able to identify resources after that, right? So when somebody says the last time I felt joy was when I was on a farm, being able to make that happen. And as coaches, we are in such a wonderful position to like be able to make that happen for them.
Mm-hmm. Um, I think my take on how you identify a strength in a recovery is mostly for me intuitive. I just know. I mean, it's not like anything I can one of the examples is, when you have kids, and I was blessed with three daughters and two sons, they all try different things. But and I use this term, when do they light up? I mean, when do they get like excited? They get light in their eyes. They get like their whole countenance changes. So for one son, it was like I talked about earlier, it's when he got a soccer ball at his feet. He just lit up to the point where he was banging it against the couch, 8 hours a day. Boom, 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 boom. Um, our daughter, Sam, when she sat with children younger than her, lit up, you know. Sandy, what would you say Matthew was or Mary? I mean, what do they light up?
Well, Matthew just being with other people, but
Right.
obviously now it's CrossFit and Mary, it was art history out of all the things that,
Right.
yeah.
So when I'm working with recoveries or working with as an executive, as a leader of an organization with like 75 employees, you become I think Wolf was talking about being very observant of and paying attention to what lights them up. That's what I call a strength. Because if they're excited, enthusiastic, passionate about a chore, a work, they're doing a task, an interaction, isn't that what you want to give them more opportunity to do? Create opportunities for them to do that, the things they love to do. And so I think there is a component of passion, interest. Uh, I think someone said natural ability. I would say that another way I frame that is we're all wired differently, but we just have to figure out what we're wired to or wired for. And when we do that, it's like if you're wired correctly, doing the correct thing, your whole light, literally and metaphorically, lights up in a way. There's incredible energy there. Any thoughts or comments about what I just shared? Yes, no, maybe? Any examples? Sarah.
Yeah, I was thinking, I just identified. I don't know if I have a comment, but it's just, I think my first role in peer support was providing telephone-based support, but it was like, 7 days a week, however many
Mhm.
hours a week. And just that, what's great about phone-based support is that you really tune in, right? You can't get distracted by the other stuff that's happening. You're really tuning in into their voice and what they're responding to and how they're sharing and what they're sharing. And then that's when you start to kind of pick up the threads of like responses and reactions and kind of like what they come back to, what we all do, right? Like what we come back to that's really, sparking us, and then that ability to, I put intuition developed by experience and intention, and then you kind of like trial balloon or respond to different things that are said, and then you kind of see where it goes. I think that's really that intuitive part that you're knowing. So I was thinking about like, well, how do you cultivate that intuitive process? And I think it is by really, just kind of showing up for all of those conversations or sessions, however you do it.
Yeah, I agree. I think too, I think like Sean wrote a question in, what are the strengths of a recovery coach? I think I don't know if I'd put it as the top, though there's a couple strengths. Um, but for me, a quality or a value is a genuinely curious person. They make tremendous coaches because when you're curious, especially about, you know, like I'm abstinent, 12-step base. This guy wants to smoke marijuana and pursue, I don't know, something else. And he says he's in recovery. I am incredibly curious about that. I'm not like the coach that's going to say, that's never going to freaking work. I'm going to say, you want to, okay, tell me about that. How does that work for you? What's it like when you're high? How is that different when you're not high? How does that improve your life? All these questions. I just have tons of questions about that because I'm genuinely curious about that. Because he chooses to recover that way is not a threat to me personally or my personal recovery. You want to recover that way? Tell me about it. Tell me how I can support you. So curiosity is a real strength. And the good thing about curiosity is you can develop that. It's not something you either have or don't have or not, or you're not naturally curious. You can become curious. You really can. You can become better at this. And the second ability is asking questions, which ties in closely to curiosity. Because if you're genuinely curious, that means I'm really interested in you. And that feeling of someone taking interest in me or being genuinely concerned and caring for me drives me to think and become more self. All right, these questions they're asking is really making me be more self-aware. Curiosity and the ability to ask questions. Uh, Marjorie.
I just wanted to share, like, I recently interviewed someone and I asked her, "Are you a wanderer?" And she was like, "Yeah, I am." And I think that there's some they're like the best people because you're always and you spot it, you got it. I'm a wanderer too. And I just think because you're always inspired by something, by learning from people.
Mm-hmm.
So the possibilities are like endless. So I thought it was just interesting that you said that. And I just interviewed someone for a job and I picked up right away that and they're great like researchers. So they're always they're always wanting more to learn. So they're not real stagnant. So I don't know. Just wanted to add my 2 cents on that.
I agree. Yeah. Anybody else? What do you think about the strengths of the recovery coach? I think curiosity, ability to ask questions. They make tremendous coaches. I think there's also I don't know how else quite to say this, but it's knowing what's my stuff and knowing what's their stuff. It's kind of like maintaining that uh, and boundary might be too strong a word, but it's that demarcation that you can get angry and sad and upset, and that's not me, that's you. I mean, if you want to go there, go there. So you got to be comfortable, I think that what I get into is self-awareness is very key for a recovery coach. Michael.
I remember Art having a conversation with Art Woodard, and he told me about the curiosity, right? Like two things that makes a great coach is that curiousness of a coach, and also remaining teachable,
Yeah.
right? So, and I always I have that in my heart because I don't know anything, Phil.
Well, my sponsor will tell you that I don't know anything either, and he's been saying that for 30 something years. So he's always telling me to remain teachable, remain teachable, remain teachable. That's true because I think as a coach and as a person that wants to help others, we have to be lifelong learners as well. And that means remaining teachable. There's always things that you can learn, always things that you can learn. Well, thank you all. It was so good to see everyone here today. Thoroughly enjoyed this conversation on strengths. Um, yeah, so I plan on doing this probably once a month, January, February, March. And then many of you know I hiked the Appalachian Trail in 2015, started on March 19th, 2015. And I have tentatively registered, well, I have registered to start on March 19th, 2025. So 10 years later, we're going to visit the trail again 10 years later, see what happens. My goal is to start. Then we'll see what happens from there. But my goal is, can I start again? If I start again and get on the trail, we'll see what happens. And Sandy's probably looking forward to me like taking off again. So I know she was 10 years ago. She told me I couldn't come back in 30 days for 30 days, but she's removed that restriction this time. So maybe things are
I like retired Phil.
you do like that's good. All right, guys. Thank you. Love you all. Have a great day.
Take care, everyone.